And joining us now is Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a national co-chair of the Harris Falls campaign, one of the featured speakers, of course, at the DNC. Congresswoman, it's great to see you again. You led the campaign's fight for reproductive freedom on that bus tour. Does the Harris campaign welcome any support for abortion access, wherever it comes from, even from the former First Lady?
I think that that's actually been the really kind of scratch your head moment that we all are examining right now, really trying to figure out, are you guys trying to play good cop, bad cop, and trying to bring people in and to trust Donald Trump? Because obviously when we think about a spouse, we think about pillow talk. And so it's like, well, maybe he's going to be good on this issue. But let me tell you, there's one thing that I believe that the American people are better at, and that is being tricked or fooled. This is Donald Trump's Supreme Court that literally stripped us of our rights. And so considering the fact that he is the one that set us ablaze and set us on fire, I don't then anticipate that he's going to be the fireman to actually put this fire out. So listen, we don't have to trust what they say. We have to trust what they do. And what we know is that Donald Trump has bragged about the overturning of Roe.
And Congresswoman, as a co-chair of the campaign, there's criticism from some that, you know, Vice President Harris is not doing enough interviews, that she's out there campaigning, but she's not taking part in interviews. I know she was willing to do another debate. Donald Trump refused so far. Time is running out. But she seems to falter in interviews. She did one with Stephanie Ruhle. She did one, of course, with Dana Bash. She did one with local Pittsburgh KDKA. That's 3 interviews in this entire campaign.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I was one of those that said, I don't care if she does an interview at all. And I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, she is running a historic campaign in a historic amount of time. And so when you're trying to figure out which one you should really take the time to do, I honestly am the type of person that believes in taking your message to the people. You know, when we consistently hear things like, well, people say that they don't know her and that kind of stuff, I think that they actually want to interact with her. And I honestly think that that is actually where she is her strongest, when she's able to actually be there with the people, feel the energy of the people, and the people be able to feel her sincerity in the policy positions that she's taking and in her message of trust me, because I will take this country forward instead of allowing it to go back. So I think that this is just a very different election. And I think that she's doing the best that she can with the minimal amount of time that she's got left to get this done.
Well, she could certainly do more interviews, local interviews, network interviews, and those all get carried on television. It's the same as a rally. It's having the same impact in terms of reaching a lot of people. That said, you're going to have surrogates. You've got, you know, Liz Cheney. President Obama is going to start campaigning. Do you think we'll see Michelle Obama?
I think that there is a good chance that we may see Michelle. Now, this isn't any information that I've been given, so I don't want anyone to perceive that you're breaking news right now. But we are a big tent party, and we've got a really big bench. And so I think that we are all hands on deck right now. And I think that's what you're seeing, is there's surrogates from the House, surrogates from the Senate and beyond that are out there campaigning. And as you just mentioned, the former president is going to be out there. I think that we all know the force that the former First Lady is. And so definitely, if her schedule allows, I personally believe that she'll be out there as well, because we know that this election is going to come down to every single vote mattering, and it's going to be very, very tight.
Are you concerned about the firefighters union? That has been a key part of the Biden constituency, the Biden base, if you will, the labor movement base. Now that's the Teamsters, it's the firefighters. Is there something she can do to reassure the labor unions, working class people, men in particular, that she's got their back and that she knows their issues?
Yeah, because I haven't been in those rooms to understand what the disagreements have been about, it's hard for me to say what potentially the vice president could do to earn their support. I can say that she has a very strong record. You know, a lot of times when we're going through elections, we only have the promises that are put out there out front. But we know that this is someone who has stood with the PRO Act versus we know Donald Trump and the vast majority of his minions do not support the PRO Act. And so I think that she does have a record. I think that record is strong on unions in record fashion. We know that the teachers union came out almost immediately when the transition was made, and there have been so many other unions. I just can't really speak for what's going on with some of these other unions at this moment. I don't know what the disagreement it is, and so without me being able to assess what the underlying issue is, it's hard for me to say what she can do. But I can say that if you are a middle class working person, there's only one person in this race who has ever experienced that type of life. The other person was born and given $400 million and has never had to work to earn an honest penny a day of his life. We know that he got caught up for fraud in New York. We know that he had to file for bankruptcy 6 times. And so there is only one person who came from that middle class family and has worked her way up. And so if there's anybody you can trust in this fight, if there's only one team that's not talking about union busting, it's the blue team, the Harris Walz team.
And quickly, let me just ask you about your home state of Texas. There is a hot Senate race. You're making gains on the Democratic side with Colin Allred against Ted Cruz. Just this week, the Cook Political Report moving that race from leaning Republican or likely Republican to leaning Republican. So that's some progress. This could be a key factor in control of the Senate. Is there any chance of a Senate victory in Texas?
I think that there's a chance. Here's the deal. We have been 47th for voter turnout in the country. And when we were 47th, guess what? Ted Cruz only won his reelection by 3 points. This is a guy that no one really likes. I mean, there's plenty of Republicans that dislike him, definitely independents dislike him, as well as obviously Democrats dislike him. So it's just a matter of us deciding that we will show up and get to the polls. If we get to the polls, then it's game over for Ted Cruz. And it is definitely better days in the state of Texas. So I am encouraging everyone, regardless as to whether or not you think we can get this done or not, because I remember in 2008 that I didn't quite believe, but I hoped that we could elect Barack Obama. So even if you don't believe, let's go ahead and hope that Colin Allred can take out Ted Cruz and make sure that we show up to the polls and vote up and down the entire ballot. Because again, as you just mentioned, so long as we can get a Vice President Harris to become President Harris, she's going to need to govern. And governing starts with making sure that she's got a democratically controlled House as well as Senate.
Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I just love the Shirley Chisholm picture behind you.
Thank you so much.
One of my heroes. Thank you.